Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Married Life with Los and Des. My name is Carlos, this is my wife Desiree, and we are the Rosados. Today we're going to talk about a really interesting topic. We titled it Trusting God's Wisdom for Your Future Spouse, and I'm going to go ahead and let Des start.
Hey everybody. Like he said, that's what we titled it. It's really more for single people, because everybody who's married doesn't really need to know this because they're already married. But just kind of thought as a little nugget that single people could use, because it's something that as we've been married for longer and longer, we can look back and really realize that it's very important to trust in God's infinite wisdom because um, there's you might think that you have a certain taste or there's certain qualities or things that you look for, and that's all good. But above all of it, it's so important to just trust that God knows you better than you know yourself. One thing that when I think back to myself and to Carlos when we were, even before we met, personally, I had been through some messed up relationships, and I had gotten to a place where I realized that, I wanted to just, I needed to wait on God. I needed to trust in Him. And I'm thankful that I did, because when I least expected it, God brought him into my life. And, I had certain things before God that I did ask Him. But above all, I wanted His guidance, and you hear different things. Some people say, oh, God doesn't have anything to do with that, or God doesn't choose for you. It's not necessarily that He chooses for you, but He knows what you need. And if you, just like with everything else in our walk, why not trust Him with one of the greatest, most important decisions you're ever going to make in your life? And that's who you're going to marry, who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. I look at it this way, that, God, just like He knows our past, He knows our future. He knows who you're going to be 20, 30 years down the line. I can personally say I'm definitely not the same person I was 20, 30 years before. And back then, if I would have gone by what I thought I wanted or what I thought I needed, I realize now that because I chose to trust God and ask for His guidance in that area, I allowed Him a place in my life to help me to choose not just who I or what I wanted, but more what I needed. Because anybody else that if I would have married somebody else, who I would have probably chosen for myself, I would not be where I am. I probably wouldn't be married still. But that's something that we've taught all our kids that, and when people come to us for advice, in that area, we always tell them, seek God, because He knows you better than you know yourself, and He knows what you really need. And when I look at Carlos, as the years have gone by, more and more, I can see why God gave him to me for a husband, because he has helped me and he's pushed me, he's encouraged me, he's helped me to heal in a lot of areas, and he's been exactly what I've needed. It doesn't mean everything's been perfect, because it's far from it, but
No.
even through a lot of the hard times, I've learned, and I've become stronger because of not only having Him, but having God, and God walking me through all those things. Do you want to say something?
He was talking about, what was it you was mentioning? When you're trusting and you're believing God, sometimes when you're believing God for your spouse, sometimes you have a picture. I'm talking. I guess this could apply also to women, but I'm talking about the men's side. Sometimes we have a picture of what we already want, and to be honest with you, when Desiree came along, that was all blown. like I had an idea, like a picture in my head, of the kind of woman I wanted, and here the Lord brings Desiree, and to be honest with you, when he brought her along, I was shocked, because I thought that my wife would look different or would be different, but like Desiree said, she actually turned out to be even better than I could possibly imagine, even better than what I imagined for a wife for myself. And that took faith to say to God, okay, I'm going to trust you. I had to lay all that to the side and trust God, that he's smarter than me, and that he knows better. And some people don't give God the time of day in that way, which is a shame, and I wonder sometimes if that's the reason why a lot of marriages don't work out, because we didn't consult with the Lord and ask what he thought about so-and-so, and that's really important to follow the leading of the Spirit and to ask the Lord to guide you. And prior to me meeting Desiree, I spent a lot of time in prayer, and I mean a lot of time in prayer. And the funny thing about it is I didn't even know why I was praying so much, but he knew. And during that time, it prepared me. Prayer prepared me a whole lot prior to meeting her, because it prepared me to be sensitive to the leading of the Spirit, to that when she showed up, I recognized her. I did. I may not have recognized her intellectually or in my logical thinking, but my spirit knew that she was the one. And when the Lord confirmed it, I was shocked. I was like, wow, I'm like, God, you have her for me. So it was that kind of thing. You have anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to when you mentioned the leading of the Spirit, kind of going along with what you said. We all have a flesh side, a flesh nature, if you want to put it that way. And we have our spirit, where we should be following the lead of the Holy Spirit in every area of our lives. So when you think about that, why not follow his lead in this area as well? Because if you look at it, everybody in your flesh nature, if you want to say that, has a taste, I guess you could say. There's that, it might be blondes for a guy, it might be it might be for, I know there's a certain taste that if I would have followed my flesh, I probably would have chosen somebody different.
Thanks.
But and I don't mean it that way, because he fits everything that I had wanted as far as looks and all that, but there is another side that might have chosen certain other qualities or something like that, but if I look back, if I would have chosen based on that, we wouldn't be married. I would have probably gone through all kinds of more mess than we've gone through. But I probably wouldn't be here. He probably wouldn't have stayed with me, because I was a jacked up mess when we first got married. But you don't want to follow your flesh when it comes to choosing a future spouse. There's things that we love and that we like, and and if one thing I'll say, like he said, is God will give you above and beyond what you even realize that you want, and he will give you someone that,
boy did he.
and it's almost like, I look at it like you have this gift, and as time goes on, as you unwrap that gift, eventually you get to see what's inside, and you get to see the beauty of it, and that's how it is with with your spouse. As you spend time and you get to know each other and you grow in your intimacy, it's like you get to see everything that God has put in that person, you know, and that's why it is so important to follow his lead in that. And you know, you don't ever want to choose somebody that, you know, is just gonna make you happy. You don't want to choose someone and that's your whole motive. It's like they have to have A, B, C, D, and this. They have to be like this. They have to do this. They have to do that. Like if that's all you're using to look for a future spouse, you're never gonna find the perfect one. There's, you know, everyone's gonna have, you know, flaws or whatever, but you have to realize that there's such a greater purpose in marriage than making yourself happy. That is a result. It's a, you know, it's a product of it when you do things right and you're working hard on your marriage together. You are happy, but that's not, you shouldn't go into it with that goal of, oh, I'm going to marry you because you're going to make me happy. You know, that's never going to work. And it might work for a little while and then it's going to die off because there's really no purpose behind it. You know, marriage, one thing we found with marriage is God uses your marriage to help you, basically to mold and to shape you. He uses your spouse to help mold you into the person that he destined you to be. And that's been our story. You know, God has used us in such an amazing way to, you know, sharpen each other out and to learn to, you know, appreciate our differences and use those. You know, there's things I'm not that great at that he's amazing at, and there's things that he's not that great at that I'm good at. And he's taller than me, so he gets all the high stuff from the shells. I mean, that's just silly things, but you know, that's just
the book of Proverbs says that there's a way that seems right to a man, but at the end it leads to destruction, and it just kind of brings light into when we are insistent upon our way, you know, instead of choosing God's wisdom to lead us to find our spouse, right? So, you know, again, it gives light to the fact that why so many marriages fail. You know, a lot of marriages fail because from the get-go they married the wrong person, you know. And I'm not saying that's the same with every marriage. There are some marriages many marriages actually, that they failed simply because they thought there was no hope, or they just, you know, they give up too easy, or you know, there are things that happen that are legitimate. I don't personally believe in divorce, but there are things that happen that can bring a marriage to tragedy, that you know, very unfortunate things, and those are things that do happen. But when we trust God's wisdom, you know, he will never ever mislead us in our choosing, and it's safe ground, and he gives you clarity in who you're getting involved with. I remember having dreams, and you know, like I said, I had a long period of time where I was in prayer and asking the Lord to just lead me, you know. And when she came along and the Lord told me, this is who I have for you, and one of the things that he said to me was, there is hidden treasure in her. And I will never forget that. And when he told me that, I had this idea that I did not quite see everything about her at the time that she was. That over a period of time, as I got to know Desiree, I was gonna see that, you know. So she did not appear in certain ways to fit that description, you know, but I trusted the Lord, and I said, well, Lord, if you said it, then then there is something about her that I need to know and get involved with. You know, I need to get involved with this woman because you have put tremendous things in her, and there's purpose here, and that is one of the things that, you know, the Lord will reveal things to you, things about a person when that person is for you, when that person is right for you. He will show you things about that person that you may not see with your natural eye. So, you know, things like that are, you know, is one reason why we should be trusting the Lord and asking for His guidance and His blessing when we choose somebody.
I just had one more thing, and it's something that we've learned in a big way in our marriage, is when you do seek God's guidance in who you're going to marry, you can always fall back on Him. You can always run back to Him when things are not going right or when you need help. You know, obviously God doesn't do everything. We have to do our part in marriage, obviously, but when there's things that are beyond yourself, you can always run to Him and say, Lord, I sought your wisdom in this, and I asked for your guidance, and, you know, this is who, you know, you led us together and stuff. So, you know, help us. We need your help. We need your wisdom. And He's done that for us throughout the years, countless times. You know, when we've just hit walls that we didn't know what to do. You know, the counselor didn't help us. This, you know, whatever. God has always been faithful and helped us and helped us to work through
Yes.
our things and just there can't even put it into words, you know, how much He's helped us and how, you know, we've been able to run to Him. And I mean, that goes for any marriage, honestly. That goes for everyone. If you're a child of God, you can always run to Him, but there's something different there when you have chosen the person that, you know, God leads you to. You know, there's something different about it because there's a different you know, there's a different blessing, if you want to say, on it, because you know, from the very beginning you chose to let Him lead you in that. So it's like, you know, you can always say, hey, you know, Daddy, I need your help with this. You know, and He's faithful.
And from the very beginning, there are so many things that have come against our marriage. So many things. You name it, people, circumstances, issues, everything you can think of to try to separate us. And like Desiree said, because we trusted the Lord in our decision making, we had His back. I mean, He had ours.
Yeah.
You know, and we had that that strength, that grace from heaven, that whenever we called on the Lord, He was there. And, you know, whenever I didn't know what to do with certain things concerning Desiree, I went to Him, you know, and He would show me, He would give me the grace, He would help me, He would comfort me, He would give me wisdom, you know, and vice versa. You know, that's very important. That's something that you know, if you get into a marriage that on your own without God, and you didn't trust Him with your decision making, that's a very important thing that you are going to miss out on, you know. And who knows marriage better than the Creator of marriage? Who knows how we're supposed to be as husband and wife better than Him, you know? So we have been able to benefit from the Lord personally, like Desiree said, in times when there was nobody we could run to. There were things that we just had to go through as husband and wife without anyone there, so that we can learn. It's like a personal lesson, so that we can learn and grow through it and He gave us the grace to come out on the other side. So we're gonna go ahead and end this, and you single folks, our best advice is to just take it up to the Lord and trust Him. Bring to Him whatever comes to you. Say you have a certain person in mind, or a certain kind of person, or whatever. The Bible says, to make our requests made known unto the Lord, and that His peace, which surpasses all understanding, will guard our hearts and minds. He will give you peace when you are making the right choice. Okay, so trust in Him. And if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to comment below. And until next time, see you. God bless you.
Bye.